The final score, Wrexham 4, Walsall 2. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC, and there we have it, our first Football League win in 15 years since we won 4-2 at Lincoln. And frankly, it was a sort of performance that made you feel there's going to be plenty more to come this season. Phil Parkinson altered things again, 4 changes from the side that drew at Wimbledon on Saturday, and we started like an out-of-control freight train just blasting into Walsall. In fact, if it hadn't been for their goalkeeper, Owen Evans, ex-Rill goalkeeper, in the opening stages, we could have put a few in. Between the 5th minute and the 8th, when we scored our opening goal, the pressure was incessant. It was one of those rare spells where you just could see a goal had to come, and Evans delayed it as long as he possibly could. Chances started up with a long ball forwards to Bickerstaff, touched by him to lay it off the forward. He burst down the right-hand side, swept a great cross in after beating Gordon, and Lee, stretching with a good header, forced a tip over from Evans. The pressure was incessant. The next corner caused problems. We also managed to get it behind for another corner, and from that one, Young slung it to the far post. O'Connell handed it back into the goal mouth. Bickerstaff got the touch, and the keeper somehow managed to dive backwards to his right and claw the ball away from the net. Particularly difficult because Daniels was basically standing right behind him, so he had to really arch over him. A terrific save. And there was another save soon to come. Tozer with a long throw-in. O'Connell flicking the ball on at the near post, and Davis being forced to make another fine save, acrobatically managing to punch the ball as it was crossing the line. But this time, his luck ran out. The ball was cleared out to Luke Young. When he played the ball back in, Will Boyle, leaping at the far post, making his home debut, planted a perfect looping header over Evans and into the far top corner. His first goal, obviously, for Wrexham, and a superb one as well. And Evans finally had been beaten. All of that in the first 8 minutes. Now, credit to Walsall. They obviously were stunned by the avalanche that had just fallen on them, but they dug in and responded, and they had some nice build-up play through midfield. They'd matched us up tactically, and they started to control possession in the middle of the field. Draper had their first effort, a really powerful strike from 25 yards, which was moving as well, and Foster had to be at his agile best to parry the ball away as it swung around in front of him. But Wrexham then grabbed a second in the 20th minute. This was a gift. Long ball forwards down the right by Ford was overhit. Hussey, the centre-back, just needed to leave it. There was no chance of a Wrexham player chasing it, and Evans had come wide of his posts to receive the ball. But Hussey, whether he didn't get a shout or not, I don't know. I'd have thought his instincts would have told him, as he's an experienced centre-back, that probably he'd be okay to leave it, but he didn't. At the stretch, he headed it straight to Ollie Palmer. Keeper out of his goal. Palmer brilliantly took advantage. A superb right foot hooked volley, which he cushioned over the keeper almost, just showing it with a volley. It's not getting your foot through it that matters, it's timing it. Placed it to perfection. One of the goals of the season, and Wrexham had a 2-goal lead. And at that point, you started to wonder if this really would be something of a pounding. Well, Walsall responded swiftly. They immediately started moving the ball well around the middle of the pitch. Sturck was really lively and driving forwards. Hutchinson was a strong physical presence, and he progressed the ball well also. And Fowkes, a standing right wing-back on the right, was really full of energy, trying to feed the two strikers. And they got their breakthrough through an excellent piece of training ground set-piece play. A corner left-hand side, 2 players from Walsall on the goal line, either side of Foster. The furthest, Hussey, suddenly sprints down the goal line towards the corner taker, who drives it to his feet along the goal line. I beg your pardon, Draper, not Hussey. Draper then, when it arrives, a lovely little dink around the corner, perfectly picks out Hussey 10 yards out, and he drives it into the bottom left corner. Foster with no chance. A superb set-piece move. And Walsall, buoyed by that and their noisy support, pushed on further. Fowkes swept in a good ball. Johnson attacking the ball, heading it wide from 8 yards out. Johnson, who has scored in both games so far for Walsall in the league and got 15 goals in 30 games in the first half of last season. But he and Draper, apart from those two moments, really fairly quiet up front for a Walsall team that had a lot of possession, but maybe suffered from not having enough punch in the penalty area on this occasion. This then became a really interesting game of ebb and flow. Both sides had good spells of possession. They were constructive with it. Wrexham looked really dangerous when they came forwards. Walsall's defence looked a little bit vulnerable, but they managed to keep Wrexham at arm's length until the half hour, when Lee was at the centre of a lovely move. Corner breaks down for Walsall. Lee on the edge of the area, surrounded by defenders, you assume is going to just clear it, but instead plays a lovely little pass, surrounded by Walsall players, to get a move going. It's returned to him. He accelerates down the left. Bickerstaff holds his line to not run offside. Lee tells him, run. Bickerstaff takes his advice, and Lee finds him with a glorious pass with the outside of his foot. Bickerstaff one-on-one with the keeper down the left-hand side, quite wide. Evans is decisive, though. He comes tearing out to the edge of his penalty area and forces Bickerstaff wide. Bickerstaff gets off an on-target shot, but Evans got close enough that he blocks it, and he had support around him. It was decisive from Evans, and it denied Bickerstaff the opportunity. But Wrexham responded again and kept trying to put the pressure on. James Jones winning the ball on the edge of the Walsall area. Lee with a cute back heel. Palmer hitting it first time, putting it just over the top right corner. Then Lee feeding the ball into the penalty area. Bickerstaff with a lovely little short layoff to Palmer, who looked set to strike when Daniels, the last man, made an excellent tackle to deny the big target man the opportunity. This is it's a harem-scarum match by now. Fast-paced, exciting. Wrexham slinging, a throw-in from Tozer. It's touched on by McEntee inadvertently, and again Evans has to be acrobatic and tipping the ball over the bar. From the resulting corner, the ball comes out. Lee driving it into the goal mouth, and Palmer getting the ball, turning, hitting it, and a good block right under the crossbar to deny Wrexham a 2-goal lead at half-time. So 2-1 at half-time, two teams really going at each other, hugely entertaining. And the second half starts out in a similar manner. Wrexham started well, but only after a remarkable let-off. Stirk, about 25, 30 yards out, the ball dropping in front of him, tries an impossible volley and gets it a centimetre from perfection. The height he gets on it, launched it, the ball looping in the air, dropping down over Foster, had no chance, hits the inside of the right post, bounces out, hits Foster on the back. Could easily have just gone in off Foster, but instead it ricochets to the corner of the 6-yard box, where the centre-back Daniels races onto it and smashes it on target. Terrific recovery and save by Foster, stretching with his right foot to knock the ball away. Wrexham then starting to get the grip once more. Palmer with a terrific run down a left channel. Faust tries to foul him on the halfway line, can't manage it, chases him to the edge of the box, slides in from behind and fouls him as he's about to enter the box. The Wrexham fans shout for a red card. Not a red card, because there's too many defenders around. Referee correctly gives him a yellow. Ford steps up for the free kick, tries to skim it over the top of the wall, hits a player on the head in the wall, loops into the goal mouth, and ultimately it's helped down by Palmer towards goal. Towards James Jones. He really shows good balance, edge of the area, smashes a volley on target. Too close, though, to Evans, unfortunately, for Jones, who still had to show great quick reflexes to get his hands up and parry, or the ball could have been straight through him before he saw it. This pressure would lead to a goal 2 minutes later, though. Palmer again working hard on the left-hand side. He wins the ball back from Daniels. Was it a foul? Well, at the time commentating, I thought definitely not. Looking with more time at the replays, he doesn't make contact with Daniels as he slides in, but I think you could argue that Daniels has to take evasive action and fails to recover from it. But anyway, the ref is happy with it. Wrexham pick it up. Mendy bursts down the left-hand side again, drills it into the goal mouth, and a super finish by Jake Bickerstaff. Back to goal. Takes a touch, spins and drives it through Evans' legs from 6 yards out. A fine strike. His first league goal for Wrexham. and his first league goal at this level. And, well, you can see the light. There's a lovely, if you look at the pictures or watch the highlights, there's a lovely moment where James Jones is unmarked at the far post. And when he sees Bickerstaff has scored, he's really celebrating. I think Bickerstaff deserved that. He's done ever so well stepping up into the first team. And that was a moment I think everyone in a Wrexham inclination really, really enjoyed. But typically, Walsall would not give up. Like I said, they were decent going forwards. Just after the hour mark, Daniels, determined to get some sort of revenge, tackles Palmer, or rides Palmer's tackle, should I say, and then drills a powerful shot towards goal from the edge of the box, which whistles across the goal and just goes wide of the far post. Then it was Johnson trying to pick the ball up and cause some problems on the edge of the area. A toe buster on the turn after Fowkes had found him, which flew just wide of the left post. But with 20 minutes left, Wrexham started to regain control of the match. We were helped, I would say, slightly by the fact that Matt Sadler, the Walsall goal manager, made a double substitution, bringing off Sturck and Hussey and changing to a 4-4-2. Now, I certainly wouldn't have brought Sturck off for a start. But secondly, they just seemed to lose their momentum then. The change of shape, rather than catch Wrexham out, just allowed us to impose ourselves. And they did actually, near the end of the game, bring on a substitution to correct it and go back to 3 at the back. But the game was gone by then. It was a strange decision by Sadler. And Ote, who played on the left-hand side of the midfield, had come off the bench to score last Saturday. On this occasion, he took the momentum out of his team by doing this. Wrexham outnumbered Walsall now in the middle of midfield, were able to bring the ball down. Mendy and Ford weren't intimidated by having an extra player on each flank. And, Wrexham took complete control. Mendy feeding a ball down the left-hand side, Lee doing brilliantly just to keep it in. It really didn't look like he shouldn't be able to, and somehow managed to wriggle beyond McKenty on the touchline and drill in a powerful shot from an impossible angle. It's well parried by Evans, spins back out, and Daniels was able to beat Palmer to it and stick it behind for a corner. Wrexham then freshened up the attack. Palmer and Bickerstaff, both of whom were excellent, replaced by Dalby and Waters, and they both looked their liveliest so far this season. In fact, Waters soon afterwards really should have scored. To be fair, he did very well in the build-up, dropping off, holding the ball up, bringing Lee in. He helped run nicely to Mendy. Mendy put in a perfect slid cross to the near post, and Waters, totally unmarked, 6 yards out, looked like he had to score his first goal for Wrexham, but he put it wide of the left post. He couldn't believe it. Wrexham would get another, though. In the 85th minute, James Jones driving down the right-hand side, seeing that Lee was available, tries to pick him out. Defender gets to it, but plays it straight to Lee, who takes a touch and then drills it beautifully right-footed into the bottom left corner from the edge of the area. An appropriate reward for Lee, who was absolutely outstanding. A couple of minutes later, O'Connor replaces him, I think as much to let Lee get a standing ovation as anything else. In added time, also managed to claw one back. And I think, to be fair, on balance of play, they probably deserved a couple of goals. They did discomfort Wrexham's defence. On this occasion, it was McKenty drilling it into the far post, and an own goal by Anthony Ford, who, under extreme pressure from Ote, just couldn't sort his feet out. It hit him on the corner of the 6-yard box and ricocheted in before he or Foster could properly react. Walsall had it at 4-2. There was no great sense that they were going to come back and do something dramatic, though. In the 3rd minute of added time, Wrexham were incredibly close to another. Dalby driving a shot in from a tight angle, which is parried out to O'Connor just outside the 6-yard box. He did everything right, drove it across the keeper, beat the keeper, and Tierney made a tremendous goal line clearance to stretch behind him and get it off the line. In the 5th minute of added time, Walsall had the last chance of the match. Tierney squaring the ball on, Hutchinson with a good strike from inside the box centrally, but too close to Foster, who made another good save with his feet. And well, again, another packed racecourse, another superb atmosphere, and yet again, Wrexham's side doing what we want them to do. Our first Football League win. Looking at the performances, Foster did well carrying on from Saturday, dominant in the air, 3 good saves as well. It was a good performance by the keeper. The centre-backs, I thought, did well. O'Connell, again, I'm talking about people continuing their form from Saturday. O'Connell certainly carried on where he left off. Strong, decisive, used the ball well. And when Wrexham had set pieces, winning a lot, Wrexham really caused issues with the set pieces, or ironically, none of the goals came from a set piece directly. Walsall had real problems dealing with them. Tozer was very good again, just rock solid in the middle. I noticed a mistake he made about halfway through the second half, and I'm mentioning that for a reason. I noticed it because apart from that, he was very, very calm and controlling. Boyle, again, he's very physical. He loves an aggressive aerial challenge. Really strong in the air. Super goal as well. His passing, not as good as I first thought it might be, but let's wait and see. But that a good, solid performance from him. The wing-backs, very, very good. Ford, excellent going forwards again. No problems at all occurring for him on his side. Mendy was, again, aggressive going forwards. And in the second half particularly, really caused major issues for Walsall on that side of the pitch. In the middle of the pitch, Young was tidying things up. Jones was putting in his energy as always. Both of them have caught the eye more this season, but were solid and helped Wrexham in spells to maintain their control in the middle of the pitch. Elliot Lee, man of the match, no question about it. Sensational, really wonderful. I mean, his work rate was terrific. His quality on the ball was terrific. Got a great goal at the end. Elliot Lee, wow, I mean, absolutely played out of his skin. Brilliant performance. Up front, though, I've got to say, more high-quality performances. Ollie Palmer was excellent. He really dominated in the air. He was strong. The centre-backs did not enjoy coming up against him. And that brilliantly improvised goal, absolutely sensational. And Bickerstaff, well, what can you say about Bickerstaff? How far he's come in the last year and a half. He led the line superbly, held the ball up so well. Lovely finish as well. Tremendous promise from him. And good to see Dalby and Waters looking lively when they came on as well. So, good stuff. Wrexham will be delighted with that. A really good win. And that's a successful start, of course, to the home double-header. Another game coming off on Saturday. And Wrexham will hope to take full advantage and claw their way up the table a little bit more. With the final score of Wrexham 4, Walsall 2, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.